He was the greatest warrior who ever lived, invincible in battle, unstoppable in war, feared by gods and men alike. But he had one weakness so small, so insignificant, that it took a single arrow to end everything. And the most shocking part, his own mother created that weakness. While trying to save his life, Achilles' father was Peleus, the mortal king of the Myrmidons, a people who were extraordinarily fearless and skilled soldiers. His mother was Thetis, a sea nymph. From the moment he was born, prophecy already hung over him. Knowing that her child was destined to either die the death of a glorious warrior or live a long life in obscurity, Thetis made a desperate choice. Soon after Achilles was born, Thetis went to the underworld and dipped him in the waters of the River Styx, the most powerful river in all of Greek mythology. The water burned like fire. It seared through every inch of his tiny body, making every part invincible. Skin that could not be cut, bones that could not be broken, a body that no weapon could pierce. Only the heel by which she held him remained vulnerable. One small spot. That would change everything. When he was 9 years old, a seer predicted that Achilles would die heroically in battle against the Trojans. Thetis disguised him as a girl and sent him to live on the Aegean island of Skyros. There, Achilles lived among King Lycomedes' daughters, perhaps under the name Pyrrha, the red-haired girl. The greatest warrior in history, hiding in a dress. But destiny cannot be hidden forever. Odysseus learned from the prophet Calchas that the Greeks would be unable to capture Troy without Achilles' aid. Odysseus went to Skyros in the guise of a peddler, selling women's clothes and jewelry, and placed a shield and spear among his goods. When Achilles instantly took up the spear, Odysseus saw through his disguise and convinced him to join the Greek campaign. The warrior could not resist. It was literally in his blood. The Trojan War began when the god King Zeus decided to reduce Earth's mortal population. Paris of Troy took Helen, wife of King Menelaus of Sparta. The Greeks went to war to get her back. Achilles joined with his legendary Myrmidons, the greatest soldiers in Greece. And on that battlefield, he became something beyond human. During the first 9 years of the war, Achilles ravaged the country around Troy and took 12 cities. Nobody could stop him. But then came the moment that nearly destroyed everything. When Agamemnon stole Briseis from Achilles, the woman he loved, Achilles refused to continue fighting in the war. Despite the fact his men were dying around him, no one could persuade him otherwise. The greatest warrior in history, paralyzed by heartbreak and rage, and the Greeks began to fall. Because Achilles refused to fight, Patroclus decided to step up. He adorned himself in Achilles' armor and took to the battlefield. But because Patroclus was not half the fighter that Achilles was, he was killed by Hector, son of King Priam of Troy. When the news reached Achilles, something inside him broke, and something terrifying was born in its place. Upon hearing of Patroclus' death, Achilles was devastated. Enraged, he returned to the war, killing Hector and dragging his body behind his chariot. His grief had transformed into the most terrifying rage in mythology. He screamed so loud, the gods trembled. He fought so furiously, the river itself rose up trying to stop him. Nothing could, until a single arrow. Guided by Apollo, the fateful arrow was shot by Paris, brother of Hector, whom Achilles had killed. It struck Achilles on the heel, that one tiny unprotected spot. Today we use the phrase Achilles' heel to describe a powerful person's fatal weakness. The greatest warrior in history, felled not by a sword, not by a god, but by a single guided arrow to the one spot his mother couldn't protect. But here's what makes Achilles truly legendary. Knowing that her child was destined to either die the death of a glorious warrior or live a long life in obscurity, Achilles chose glory. He knew he would die young. He chose it anyway. Because to Achilles, a short life of glory was worth more than a long life of nothing. Achilles died over 3,000 years ago, but his name is still spoken every single day. Every time someone says Achilles' heel, they are speaking his name. His story lives in movies, books, games, and art worldwide. Because Achilles showed us something timeless. Your greatest strength and your greatest weakness often come from exactly the same place.